How's it going, guys, and thanks again for visiting my channel. Today I have the second monitor I got from Elvid, which is the Elvid STV150 4K HDR, the StudioVision series monitor that they make. They're both 4K UHD, and this one's the same resolution as 3840 by 2160. So I'm going to tell you here in advance everything that I plan to do in this video here. Today I'm going to be reviewing this monitor, and this review is going to be a mix of review, a tutorial, a workshop, everything in one piece. So every question that you probably will have, you're going to find in this video here. So stick around, don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. This one here is the 15.6 inch monitor. They also make a 23.8 inch and also the largest one being 28 inch. Depending what I'm filming, if it fits in a car, besides the equipment that I have to bring with me, I always will try to fit in an event both versions here, the 15.6 and the 28, because the 28 inch is a bigger monitor. So if I have a room there that has a lot of space, I will take the 28. I do a lot of office interviews and stuff like that. So sometimes the 28 inch is not going to fit, and this is the one to take. And these monitors here, they are identical, the same software, the same everything. The only difference between the two that I found out also has to do with the size of the screen here. So the 28 inch is brighter than this one here, and I actually have the brightness setting on display here. So this is currently a 50% brightness, which is bright enough, and this is how it will look like through the camera there. So if you're working on indoors, this monitor has plenty of brightness, but every single one of these monitors here, they also come with the pre-attached Velcro here in the case, in which they all come with the sunshade. And all you have to do is to align properly the sunshade here, make sure the side latches they are properly closed, and to remove the shade is just as easy as install it. You just peel it from the back here where the Velcro is, so you can actually carefully and gently remove the sunshade. And a quick disclaimer here, Elvid sent me this monitor for me to test it out. I'm not paid to say anything here. All my words and opinions are my own. This video is not sponsored by Elvid. All I'm trying to do here is to review some gear for you guys. These monitors have a resolution of 3840 by 2160 and supports up to UHD 4K video and HDR. This monitor has 4 HDMI inputs, the 1 and 2 supporting HDMI 2.0 for 4K at 60 Hz, and input 3 and 4 which supports HDMI 1.4 up to 4K at 30 Hz. The VGA lets you run 1920 by 1080 at 60 Hz, and the DVI lets you run 1920 by 1080 at 24 or 60 Hz. 3G SDI jacks which lets you run HD 1080 60p. Having a monitor on set is indispensable. Not only that makes you professional instead of bringing a Walmart Vizio little TV, which can't split the screen in 4, which this one can do, and also the dual view and many other things that professional monitor offers, not to mention it comes with this case here. And speaking of this case here, I actually want to talk about the packaging material that these manufacturers they come up with, because it costs money. So it's much better to spend a couple bucks more on the packaging materials instead of having a customer that calls that the monitor already broken or something happened to the case here. To avoid a lot of headaches, just spend more money on the case, on the packaging materials here. And let me show you the packaging that I'm talking about here. So this is a regular cardboard here, but the reinforced corners, as you can see here, is similar to the refrigerator packaging that you buy at Best Buy, and also it comes with this little thing here that's actually packed all over the box for extra sturdiness and everything. And inside the case, as you can see, has high density foams here. So this entire case here is surrounded by the material by like an inch or two. So even if FedEx, UPS, or whatever is carrying this case here drops the package a little bit in the corner, falls to the truck or something like that, it's not going to even damage this case here. Which, by the way, again, I reviewed both of these monitors and I have the experience here twice. I received both of these boxes here, not a single dent, not a single damage on the monitor. So this case is made of part wood and part aluminum, and also have all kinds of surroundings here that protects the monitor and also helps to make the finish of the case better. I'm always going to be using this monitor permanently attached to this case here, but if you want to take this out of here, it's very simple. There's only 4 bolts for you to unscrew. Make sure you are doing this on a flat surface with the monitor facing up, and then you simply remove the cover, in which you're also going to find the sun hood shade right there, and also a high density foam material here that I highly recommend that you keep, because when you pack this back, you put the foam back right here, and then the sunshade, and then the actual cover, which features a foam inside as well. So this whole thing was very well thought. And the same thing in the back here, that you put the rear cover, you're good to go. So this monitor comes included with this tiny little short AC cable here, which features a 3-prong, which is a triangle shape here, but it's only 3 feet long. So I actually ordered a 15-foot long, and you also have to observe the gauge. You don't want to buy a cable that's too thick, otherwise it's not going to fit inside, which this is the goal here. So everything power related, everything that comes with this monitor here, I plan to actually contain everything inside the case here. So I actually highly recommend that you buy this one here. This is a 15 foot long, 18 gauge, and this monitor here is only 18 watts, so you don't need a 2 gauge ridiculous extension cord. There's no problem with this monitor here. It's just like you're powering like a 20 watt little LED light. To power this monitor here, the switch is actually located on the back of the monitor here, and it comes included with the AC brick here, in which you're going to flip the switch to the DC mode. And if you want to use a V-mount, you just flip the switch to the bat option there. So speaking of V-mount, you're usually going to do that when you don't have access to an outlet, right? So every time this monitor is on, wasting time, you're actually killing your V-mount battery. So this monitor here has a maximum power consumption of 18 watts, and I have a 98 to 99 watt, let's route it to 100 watt hour V-mount battery. So since this monitor is only 18 watts of power consumption, so doing the math here, 100 watts hour divided by the 18 watts, you can run this monitor at full blast for 5.5 hours. If you have a 200 watt battery here, you're talking about 11 hours. So the 20th version of this one here has a maximum power consumption of 53 watts when it is set in full brightness in full HDR 10 mode, and then you're talking about a couple hours with the same V-mount battery here. So 100 watts is going to be about 2 hours, and the 200 V-mount battery is going to be about 4 hours. Another great thing that I like about this monitor here has a powerful USB 3.0 in the back here, which is also for firmware updates, but I actually using my Tascam DR100 Mark III here. See the green here? This thing has been on for the entire time of recording this video. So this monitor is actually charging my actual recorder, so I absolutely love this thing here. It has so many conveniences. Not to mention I'm using a condenser microphone here, which requires phantom power, which makes the charging even harder for this particular monitor here, but it looks like it's taking the job just fine. So let's start with the front panel here. As you can see, it has a speaker on the bottom left there. It's not the greatest speaker in the world, but it actually serves very well for a reference. Your director or whoever it is that's actually watching the screen of this monitor here, you can actually plug in a headphone here, or even hooking up a portable speaker such as a Bluetooth. They all have the auxiliary thing on the back there. So you plug it in there and then you plug it over here, you're good to go as well. To adjust the volume here, you just press the up and down arrows here and the volume comes up, as you can see. And it is factory default to 0 because you don't want any volume here when you're actually recording because of the microphones of the cameras or this microphone here. So you don't want to hear any feedback, because if you actually raise the volume, you're definitely going to hear some feedback. Now for playback, yes, go crazy and crank this up to 100% volume here, but don't forget to actually turn it back all the way to 0. Another thing that you'll notice here, this thing is still displaying here, so I have it set to the maximum time to display on the monitor. So if I want this out of here, all I gotta do is press the exit and it's out of here. But the default from the factory is actually 10 seconds. I want this as much as possible on the screen because I don't want this to quit in the middle of a setting here. So when I press the menu here, this is gonna stay here for a long time. Then if I wanna get rid of the menu, instead of waiting for it to time out, I just press quickly the exit button here. Where is it? Right here. Done. So right here you have all the buttons and everything that this monitor can do here, starting with the headphone jack and the power status here. So right here the inputs from the SDI, 4 HDMI inputs, the DVI and the VGA. So again, the HDMI 1 and 2 supports 4K 60 and the other 3 and 4 supports 4K 30. And here you have the menu, the left and right arrows, which also serves as a volume, and there's a little bit of a shortcut on the menu here. As you can see, you can change the brightness, and then press the menu again, you can actually change the contrast, saturation, hue, sharpness. So the menu here, like I said in the other video, I've done every single step, every single thing that's on the menu here. You're welcome to go to the other video here, but just so you know here, the basics, for example, let's say that you want to click here the brightness. Click the menu once, and then to access here, click it again, and then whatever it is that you're doing here, it will not be saved unless you hit the menu here, which acts as a confirmation button. So when you press exit here, in this case, you're not really exiting anything, you're just canceling things. So you're going back to the previous value. So if you want to make changes, for example, press the menu again to access this, which highlights in the yellow. So 55, and then hit the menu. Then when you come back there again, it's actually at 55. And then you press the menu again, go back to 50, in which is the brightness that I want. Press the menu again, it confirms, and then exit. And right here we have the 4 F1, 2, 3, and 4 preset customizable buttons here to about 98%. And these keys here, they have a very nice feel. They are made of rubber. They are not silenced, but they're rather quiet. All here is this, which to me it doesn't matter. Now on the F2 here, I have customized it to my own liking here. For example, press the F2, you can actually have the quad screen, the dual view, whatever it is. There it is. Press the menu, it becomes a quad screen, which you can actually have the lines here or not. I actually like it. I think it looks nice and elegant. So right now the only thing that I have connected here is the iPad, but you get the picture here. Another beautiful thing that this monitor does, you can actually carry the audio from each one of these cameras, 1, 2, 3, and 4, or to actually retain the audio coming from this camera only, or this audio from this camera only here. If that wasn't enough, you can also embed audio externally from your digital recorder or your mixer or your multi-track recorder. All you need is a little RCA cable to plug it in the back here, and that's that. So regardless what's being displayed here, you always will have the audio there, which is great when your director is actually provided a pair of headphones. He's right here watching the screen. The audio that he's listening is going to be actually coming from your mixer, from your recorder, or everything else. I think that it is absolutely fantastic to have. Now another thing that you can do, let's say that you actually decide to have the audio already embedded on the camera itself. So you have camera 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's say that this camera here is the one that's got the XLR with the mics and everything here. And then you can actually go to the menu and tell the monitor you only want to hear the audio from this camera here, regardless of what's going on here. Now in that particular perspective, that's an advantage because you can actually play back the footage, and then your director will be able to hear the playback with the actual good sound instead of the scratch audio, the reference audio from the other cameras that you might be using. Because usually in production, you got the screen here, you can play back the footage and all, but you always never get to actually hear the actual sound of the production other than the scratch audio or reference audio from the cameras. And then to go back to the full screen, I already have my shortcut down here. Keep pressing until you find the full, hit menu, and you are back to the main screen, camera 1 or HDMI 1. And then if you have other things connected to this monitor here, simply press the input that you want, either if it is SDI or DVI or HDMI 4. Now here's a quick look at the menu here. You have your picture, and then your function, display mode, display setting, input, audio, VGA, which I don't use, and the system, and then information. The information is where you actually get to see everything. Are you in 4K or UHD or 480i or 480p? So everything is displayed here. And also notice that this monitor is fully HDCP compatible. So whatever it is they want to display on this monitor here, including Netflix movies, Vudu, YouTube, copyrighted material, this monitor will let you watch everything and anything here that you want. So go back to the beginning there, press the menu again. So here's the picture. And then you press the menu to bring the submenus here, which you have the brightness, contrast, saturation, hue, sharpness, color space, HDR, backlight mode, backlight, and temperature. Next on the function here, press menu again, you have the center marker, safety marker, aspect ratio, underscan, pixel to pixel, check field, freeze, peaking, and false color. The false color, everybody knows what that is. It looks like this. If you don't want that, press exit, so nothing changes. The pixel to pixel is also a very interesting one. Press menu to turn it on. You have the actual high definition 1920 by 1080. This is what it looks like in 4K, the actual 1080 pixels, right? If it was a DVD thing, the square is going to be about this little here. And if your actual signal is 4K, even if you are here, it's going to be displaying on the entire monitor because you're actually feeling the entire pixels here because you're doing 4K with a 4K. So pixel to pixel, it actually tells you what this image truly looks like, which is a lot sharper than the actual full image because it is condensed to the actual real 1920 by 1080 pixels here. Press exit. So again, everything else, I'm going to let you watch the other video there because I have this entire menu there, the whole manual of this monitor. Then you have the display mode, which we have the full screen, half, which is left and right, and then you have the top and bottom, and the picture-in-picture, this is a cool one, and also the quad screen here. Next we have the display setting here, which is the rotate. You can actually rotate the screen 90 degrees, 180, and 270 degrees, and also you can actually mirror the display. Next we have the input, so you can actually make a HDMI 1 act like a SDI or HDMI 3 input or whatever. You choose the input here, and this is where you actually determine on a quad screen mode here which audio from what camera you want to listen regardless of what's being displayed on the monitor. This is how you do it here. Then you have the audio, which is the volume, and the audio source. When you press the menu here, you can actually adjust this one here. So everything you're selecting here is supposed to be yellow. So if you want to change to the analog, you make sure it is covered in the yellow there. So the digital is the audio signal from your HDMI that's being carried to the monitor here, the signal. Now the analog is when you actually attach external analog sources such as your mixer or your audio recorder, whatever it is, via the RCA input there. So when you have the monitor with the quad mode here, this is actually what you're going to hear as far as audio instead of the audio from the cameras here via the HDMI. Then the system, You have the factory reset. It takes a few seconds, probably 5-7 seconds. The screen's gonna go black. And then the menu time is how long this display is gonna be displaying here. You can choose 60 seconds or 1 second or 0 seconds. Then we have the position of this square here, up and down, left and right. And then the language. And the transparency here is just the opacity of the actual display here. So actually, when you raise it, this box becomes more transparent, as you can see there. If you don't want to make any changes, press exit. Next will be the color calibration. This is when you're actually using a color calibration tool here. And then the rotate, on this case here, you're not rotating the actual image of the display, you're rotating this box here. Next one is the border, which I think is very nice. It displays those little lines over here on quad mode or half mode or dual mode. And then the actual color. And that's pretty much it. And then you have the information, and that's the end of the menu here. So that's the end of my review, and I hope this video was useful to you. And if you want to subscribe to this channel, you know what to do. Just make sure you hit the bell notification. There are also affiliated links in here, so it doesn't cost you anything. It just helps to keep the channel going here. And also, if you want to leave comments, please do, because I love comments and I respond to everything that I see there. So thanks again very much for your time, for visiting my channel, and I'll see you next time.